we're building our own AIs with our partner.
Yeah.
Having the people on the ground understand the technology and feeding back the AIs with the right root cause, with the right solutions, the data or parameters being measured is the right input to AIs to do the right analysis and give you potential solutions.
With over 1,400 staff members and 5,500 properties under management, Tarek Al Assil leads one of the UAE's most powerful FM engines, IFM. He's rolled out robots, information of technology sensors, and cloud-first CAFM systems that kept services running 24/7, even during the pandemic. Today, he's here to unpack what FM looks like when data, speed, and sustainability collide.
It's not like we're redoing things which was not possible. We're just trying to take an advantage today of the cheaper technologies happening. For sure, you can always pay high values for the latest technology, but today in FM, we don't need the latest technology.
Mm-hmm.
You just need...
Welcome, Tarek. It's good to have you here.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
IFM, to start off with, just tell a little bit about the company and what the philosophy of your company is and the approach and vision around the FM industry.
So I'm been in the market in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And many in the market, they've been surprised that I went from X company to IFM, because IFM was not even there. So it's a new entities. It's been based on 20 years of in-house FM being for a group. Yeah. And then we formed IFM as an integrated facilities management, and we really implement the name or the integrations between the services. So it's a technology-based, and efficiency is the main goal on connecting all the services together. So it's Abu Dhabi-based company, and today we operate on from Saudi borders to Fujairah, literally all over the UAE. We have back offices in Egypt for our interior designs. So we operate mainly on 5 pillars. We have the conventional, we call it now conventional, FM. Yeah. Then we have the infrastructure services, we have consultancy, interiors, and security consultancy and services. Which we are keep adding services because we just need to cover as much as possible of the client's requirements. Yeah. The pressure on the FM business, conventional FM business today is becoming more a manpower supply, because client is controlling the KPIs. They have majority. They have their own CAFM systems. So you have to come up with a new way of doing things. So this is where we start implementing the technologies in every aspect in IFM, trying to differentiate. Being a new company or relaunching a new company 2.5 years ago, it gives you an opportunity to start fresh, and you don't have those restrictions on existing operations. Yeah. So we started fresh. We have a lot of POCs which been proved. A lot of POCs are coming. Yeah. And we will come with new solutions to our clients, supported with the right figures, ROIs. Yeah. So that's our aim.
So when you basically lean a lot on technology, then as a company, you had the benefit of sort of reshaping, redesigning from the ground up, making use of a lot of the new technologies out there. What were sort of the key pillars for you to use in terms of gathering data at the end of the day, because you want to analyze, I guess. What type of technologies are key in your strategy?
The good things in the last 5 years, technology is evolving very fast. So the technology which you used to pay $10 for 10 years ago, you pay now half a dollar. So you get what you used to pay a lot now for much cheaper. Yeah. So the solutions, which was the ROIs, is getting better every second. So thank you for the new technologies, the new platforms being there, the IoTs. Yeah. So the main drivers for IoTs or technologies today is processing the data, collecting the right data, and processing it, and come up with the right decisions to help you optimize the building's operations. Yeah. That's could help you to reduce your resources. It could help on the energy saving, and it could help on increasing lifespan of the buildings on the assets. So it depends on the client interest. What is their today interest? In industrials, for them, it's not even all of this. It's about the downtime because that's cost money. But when you go to the residential, commercial, for them, a 3% risk of downtime, it doesn't worth to pay all that capex.
No.
Which is in the other hand, capex is getting increased, ROI is getting better because the technology is getting cheaper.
Yeah.
So this is the catch, that it's not like we're redoing things which was not possible. We're just trying to take an advantage today of the cheaper technologies happening.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, you can always pay high values for the latest technology. But today in FM, we don't need the latest technology. You just need a technology, collecting right data and process it and get the results. That's why AI is the key.
Yeah.
If you don't have AI, the right AIs, which needs the right data and the right input from the humans, and then try to monitor their self-learning and keep improving it, so you can get the product. It's about the AI today. If you have the right AIs in the FM, you will dominate the market with it. So there's many AIs today in the market, but how feasible it is, based on what logics and feedback and analysis is being built. That needs to be tested. So we're building our own AIs with our partner. Having the people on the ground understand the technology and feeding back the AIs with the right root cause, with the right solutions and remedies and spare parts being used, the data or parameters being measured after and before the faults. All this is the right input to AIs to do the right analysis and predict the same problems and give you potential solutions. That's where we're going to save money and save efforts.
Is it something where you believe clients are starting to ask more and more also in the FM industry in general? Or is it really something that's more driven from the industry itself, its own operations to become better, efficient? Is it a client pool really, or
it's a mix of both? Many clients are interested to know more, but they need to see there's always a budget issues or a capex investment issue. So today the ideas about BMSs, it's an expensive systems, and even maintaining it is an expensive OPEX. Today what we're trying to do is to start from the existing BMS systems. You can have two options, even to replacing the front end or the softwares with an IoT AI systems, adding additional sensors where the original design was not implementing. And we have many examples about this, that we have an existing BMS system. It's almost outdated. It needs a full replacements of, give you the figures, 2 million rooms. So what we've done is we used the existing sensors, existing infrastructure cabling. We add additional 30% or 40% of sensors through IoTs, and we connect all to one platform, and it costs 40% of that. And you connect it to an AI and you start operating. So this is one thing that you bring value to your client immediately by having less cost on the conventional BMS system. And another example is to install a new BMS system, which is not a BMS, it's an IoTs, but in the conventional ways, you call it BMS. And that's also, again, 30% of existing cost of any traditional BMS system. And here the catch, that you have to show an ROI. So the capex there, it should come from energy saving. It should come from efficiency in FM, which is very difficult to prove. And it should come from the life cycle. The only way which is easy to convince a client is about energy saving. And not all of them are interested, especially if it depends who's paying for the energy. If the tenants is paying, they will not bother much. But if they manage, if it's chiller based, on the chillers is on the owners, then he will be more interested.
Yeah.
So the more utilities he's paying, the more interest there will be on investing there. Plus, you have to provide them the guarantees of saving, which is we do today. We guarantee, and we are offering soon zero capex investment. So you just let us install, and you pay us back from the utility savings.
Yeah, yeah. This also requires, I think, different skill sets in your organization, because the people that need to help craft this environment where you start measuring, analyzing, become more predictive. It's not anymore like sitting in a cockpit BMS and manually take decisions. At some point in time, it becomes really automated. So does this also mean that people inside your organization need to be of a different skill set who manage this type of solution?
I'll give you an example. Today we're implementing geofencing attendance.
Yeah.
And for everyone, including from the cleaning staff up to the managers.
Yeah.
The challenge we have always about using the mobility for attendance, that not everyone has a mobility.
Yeah.
But today, when we've done a small surveys in my 1400 staff, we found that even all the staff, they have a mobility and they have internet.
Yeah.
So we provide Wi-Fi's on their locations, but it's the new generations who's joining the industry. They are more educated and they are more technology
savvy.
So oriented. So it's the skills of technology related skills is getting better with the people. So you need to educate them that you can use the technology to enhance your career path as well. This is one thing which we're trying to combine one, mobility solutions for everyone. That you do your attendance, you do your reports, but in the same time, it also gives you what is your next career path, how you book your next training, and how you flag yourself for the next opening. So back to your question, yes, it is important to educate and engage our staff and especially in technicians to report the right feedback, because we always know that everything working fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
And we replace the defective parts, full stop. That's the reports usually you get from the service reports.
Yeah.
Today, no, you have to go through parameters. You have to insert the right parameters. You have to proof with some pictures, which is, we don't process the pictures yet. But if you don't give the right data, feedback about the breakdowns, you'll not get the right AI, or you'll get it slower. Your AI learning and getting the right recommendations and predicting the problems is gonna be slower. So you're gonna need to filter the wrong data out of the right data with the similar scenarios.
But it's also interesting, by the way, because it's towards the client, obviously, because you have basically proof points, better better way of servicing them, become more predictive, and so cost-wise. But from a staff perspective, it is a great learning tool as well, because if your staff is fixing something and it may not be first time right, for example, you can fairly quickly identify if it is a training gap, for example. Is that correct?
That's happening today. That's when the repeated issues coming in the system, it will get flagged.
Yeah.
And then we go and check why they couldn't make it from the first time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, yes, we can put them to the right training, or supervisors usually will check where is the weakness or where is the gaps in the problems, and they need to do the root cause. The root cause analysis for each, it's a lengthy process. It's time consuming, but this is an investments we do to feed our AI system. Without root cause analysis for each case, in the coming 2 years, we cannot build a smart AI. It's going to be an AI where he will just, trying to predict the problems. There will not be, intelligence anymore. So Yes, the the staff needs to get the right trainings, bridge those gaps usually. But when it comes to feeding the system with right and wrong feedback, it's more on using that feedback on the staff on developing their next trainings. That's an AI based thing which we're trying to do, but the whole idea is when after your AIs is ready, they should when your technicians is going to attend a problems, he will get the potential issues where it could be and what to check there, because you'll not get a census for each and every parameters. That's going to be very costly. You're going to get 2 or 3 parameters per assets. Depends on how much your budget, how much is the census cost, which is now getting much cheaper, which is very good. But then there might be some visual inspections and questionnaires that the AI needs to give you faster solutions. So he has maybe 5 potential issues, and if you give him 1 or 2 answers of the questionnaires there, he will minimize it to 2 or even 1. So it's helping them to have no brain on there, but
exactly.
But in the same time, it's AI. We don't need AI to think on behalf of technicians, but at least to help them reach to the right troubleshooting.
So, what do you think the future of just generally speaking, the FM employee will look like? I mean, technology will become more and more part of the daily life at every level, from literally the shop floor all the way to managing an environment. What do you see in terms of staff requirements of the future, and how important is it to keep the staff?
Yeah, sure. For sure, technology going to be enabler for better service and more efficient services. I don't see technology going to replace people, even, but it will push their borders for better services. So their understanding of troubleshootings, their understanding of efficiency is going to be empowered by the right tools. So they're going to be feeling, it will empower them, and they can feel that they are more productive and they have the right tools for it. And this is the challenge where you need to educate people and let them understand the technology better and how that's going to help them to improve, and they're going to be more technology oriented, and that's going to give them even a better job and a better income, because they're going to do more using technology. So keeping people, those are, as in the FM industries, we are a service companies based on people. So if you don't have the right people, we'll just fail. It's all about the people. Okay, everyone's saying it's about process, fine, but the people there who's implementing the process, the cultures. If you have a very high churn or low retentions, you're gonna keep losing the right people. You're gonna lose the accumulative experiences. The one thing is we're trying to keep those experiences by taking the feedback on each cases and put it in the AIs. So this is the technical ones, the technical experiences. We're trying to save it and build the AIs, but doesn't mean that we don't need the right people to stay. So the technology will help even to, if you go to the human resources or growth and developments, will help you to identify the weaknesses of the people. Try to give them the right training and try to promote them to take more responsibilities and grow in their career path. So if you use the technology as well to draw their career path, to let them be part of building their career path, select the right trainings for them and see what they are interested with. It's very easy today to provide them on the same applications with training materials, online training materials, where they can explore and they can then book for an assessment. This is what we do in our center of excellence, which we have in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
So we have a training center. It's a BICS certified. That's like, the manual BICS training, but it's also a visual or virtual, trainings.
Yeah.
So we're now partnering with an online training partners where we can provide courses for them, and then they will come to do the assessments and they can understand what is their next career. So we started this from cleaners. We try to give them options like to go to team leaders, maybe an office boy, housekeepers, or even you'll be surprised. We get many cleaners and all my peers in the industry, they know. We get some cleaners are engineers.
Yeah.
So you just, let them do the switch to the technical parts.
Yeah.
Let them go as coordinators, storekeepers. So there's many options for them to grow.
Yeah.
So instead of letting them grow by changing the companies, at least let them change the career within the company and keep the experiences, keep the loyalty of them, of your employees, and even commercially, hiring a skilled staff with the right skills which you need, it's more expensive than promoting your internal staff. Yeah. So in all aspects, you have to keep promoting your own team and show them their next and attract more skills. So if the talents in the market knows that they're going to grow with you, you're going to see a queue looking for jobs with your company.
Yeah, so you create also consistency inside your own company, retain the knowledge basically, and culture, which I think is key at the end of the day. When you look at the clients that you serve, and just the generic developments in the market here, do you believe that clients becoming more and more focused on sustainability topics, like, for example, conserving energy, water, those type of things, or do you believe that the market is still a little bit lagging? Do you see a shift?
Yes, especially with the big clients. Yeah, this year it started. You can see it more on the new tenders. They're more looking to added value services.
Yeah.
And the talks about ESG is also now becoming a trend.
Yeah.
Reaching to the right ESG, measuring your ESG, it's still now ongoing.
Yeah.
Especially in the FM industries, we're trying to find our way, how we're going to measure the benchmark.
Yeah.
And, it's a full matrix of multiple factors, multiple measurable items where you're going to accumulate in one. So we've seen this even in fit-outs businesses, that people looking for more, recyclable items, sustainable materials, local material.
Yeah.
That's a very good sign. And especially when you go to big clients, corporates, they have their own targets in sustainability.
Yeah.
It's more also on the ICVs, in-country value, which is implementing mainly in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
It's also touch base on many of the sustainabilities, like local suppliers and like in-country value, like the training you provide to your people and the values you add to the communities.
Yeah.
So sustainability, it's getting faster today with the COP28, the visions of 2030s.
Yeah.
But that should come from as one of the commercial indicators. So ESG today for big corporates, it's one of the measurable items on the value of the companies.
Yes.
But when it comes to smaller companies who's not really looking into it, we have to provide them some add values, and this is a mission on FM, just to show them the why they need to go sustainable. In sustainabilities, if you don't merge the social responsibilities and the people, environments, and values, money.
Yeah.
If you don't touch on the costs, you will not be much,
incentivized to do.
Exactly. So client need to see some savings or some financial impacts.
Yeah.
And this is our mission, because we operate the buildings. OPEX on operating the building is the major cost of the whole life cycle of any facility. So it's our mission to help more. I've seen many industry peers are doing a fantastic job on this. But we have to, most of our businesses is based on contracts.
Yes.
So if your contract doesn't allow you to do much, is where you need to invest a bit more from your thin margin anyway.
Yeah.
To showcase something. This is what we do in POCs, in IoTs, and I've seen many industry leaders in the market. They're doing it in different ways. So we need to try to push our clients to focus more on sustainability, not only on the bottom line.
Yeah. So you believe that is also the responsibility of the FM industry to really push it towards clients, rather than just waiting for clients to basically adopt certain new practices, being more focused on sustainability. One of the things that I myself, for example, recognize in the market is that a lot of the contracts do demand a certain level of innovation being brought to the client, but it doesn't necessarily mean that if the innovation that is brought to them is good, the client says, yeah, fine, I have reserved a little bit of extra investment and please implement it. How do you overcome that? Because it is quite hard, I feel, over contracts typically running 4-6 years, to just have a fixed contract structure for that period of time, asking for innovation, and then not really being able to implement that easily. Is that something that you have a specific method for to circumvent?
Yeah, it's always a challenge. Starting that the contract's always starting with 3 years.
Yeah.
So 3 years, it's a very short period where you cannot much get any innovations with ROIs below 3 years. Usually you need 6 months to implement it. You need maybe 3 years to get the ROIs. So one thing is, clients usually they don't spare budgets. So the mentality of COVID after 5 years is still there, that they need to keep the expenditures on the minimum. So they don't. If you don't have a real directions from the top management of your client, they will not be interested more on investing. Many clients we've seen today is the technical is being driven by the procurement departments, which means it's cost oriented. We've seen many big clients, unfortunately, their technical team, their scoring was not being considered like before. And we've seen even the impact of that later on. We've seen failures on contracts, terminations of big contracts in the market. I will not name it. So the correction is happening. But then having the FM companies to invest on innovations within the contracts, it needs a mechanism on contractually. So, extending the contracts, having it for longer tenure. So, and you have many governments where they have restrictions on this as well.
Yeah.
So you have that challenge. And the second is the mechanism of the payback. So there's many contracts today is saying if you do any energy conservation measures, you'll get a payback from the savings.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the same client, he's doing another conservations, and it's mixed up. You don't know what's coming from your conservations and what's coming from their initiatives.
Yeah.
So that's also give uncertainty on the paybacks period. And the mechanism of the exits. So if you do a capex investments, zero investments initiatives, and you need the paybacks, and for any reason the client change their mind, change the scope, change of ownerships, innovation of contracts. There's a lot of risks where there's no a real mechanism or an authority to organize that. There is many initiatives happening through TACA today or DIWAs, where you do an energy and you get the cut back from the DIWA bills based on some retrofits.
Yeah.
Which is very good initiatives. But then if you don't have the regulations on grading your buildings, pushing maybe on like's happening on the waste management today, you have to pay per ton.
Yeah.
Which is implemented 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's opened doors for recycling, and it gives better ROIs for the sorting and recycling industry.
Yeah.
So we have to do something like that. If you consume less, you get less maybe pay, or you might even get less sort of expenses.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that is also the heart of the challenge. That indeed the ambitions are very, very big. Net zero by 2050, major saving targets that need to be achieved. But yet at the same time, that connection in a mechanism that actually allows everybody to have a level playing field, like you're saying, a grading system for buildings. If your building is energy efficient, automatically you see that the value of the asset will increase, and the maintenance of such asset is then extremely important, because we all know buildings are being talked about that they're old here in the region, and sometimes they're only 12 years old, the structure, and there are many reasons why that is the case. So I think you're right that that will help, should help actually the industry. When you look at a client relationship, you don't have to name the client if you can't or don't want to. What is sort of your best experience in a client that actually does focus a lot on the longer term in managing their assets, and why?
Okay. Today you have, when it goes to the client segmentations, as FM, you have governments, you have asset owners, and you have asset operators, let's call it. Like the freehold managing agents who manage the freehold buildings. So when you go to government, they are the most, especially in the federal and in Abu Dhabi, they are more focused on asset life cycle. So they do track their asset life cycle, and they do invest on any technology, or they have their own CAFM systems as a government. They have their own parties, or let's say partners within the government entities, where they do a centralized support services. And that's where it's going to be always easy to convince them with POCs. So that's the government sectors, because they can spare budgets, they can plan for a budget, and they can justify that because it's government directions on the COP28. So they have, that's, momentum for that. When it goes to asset owners, you have, property owners. You have two types. You have the long investors and short-term investors. The long-term investors, if they understand the importance of the life cycles, they will not look for this quick wins or the quick profits. So they will look on the assets life cycle after 20-25 years. The problem with the short-term investors, where he will operate the assets, he will maximize his ROIs, maximize his investments or income returns, and that will come on the asset life cycle. So he will start cutting the edges on the maintenance, on the even spare parts, even on he will do the minimum just to have the least cost possible, not breaching maybe regulations. That's minimum they should go. And the life cycle where the assets we're going to have 25 years, it will just drop to 15 years. Well, he will not be there that time, because he will just show the figures and then sell this properties for the next investors. with the figures showing that it's high ROIs because he cut on the maintenance. But this is where we're lacking those evaluations or evaluators who can also look into from the banks, from the funding entities, that they should consider the assessments of the building and the which grade it is, and it's been well maintained, and the carbon footprints of that buildings, how it's affecting later on, and how that will be part of the value of the building on the valuations. If you link that together, then those short-term investors, they're gonna look into it in a different way.
And I think it is indeed. You see these two groups very much in the market. There are good examples of companies that have a long-term view and have a specific approach, but unfortunately, still also quite a few that work indeed the other way around. When you step in as a facility management company and you're trying to really come up with a value-based offering that incorporates quite a few different elements, not just staff, but also indeed technology, maybe even very specialized services inside the offering as such. How do you approach sort of like more the generic RFPs that are out there? Because I'm pretty sure that you want to showcase the innovations that IFM has to offer in that as well. Is that something that you emphasize on, or is it really trying to be as close to the perceived sort of like price point that is required to win a contract? Are you really more on the value side or more on the cost side?
You will not win the contract if you are not on the right budget. That's maybe all the industry peers, they know this. And if you there's another say, if you price right, you'll never win. So you always need to price low. And because it's not a secret, but when you read an RFP, and I was reading each and every RFP in my business development time, if you implement every single tasks and scope of work within there, you always price 30-40% more. There's always a catch where the clients, they will not understand that they need to elaborate more on the scope. There's many areas on the scope. What we say usually, there's 100% scope, 50% is there, which we need to deliver. There's 25%, the scope there is underestimated. We need to put more efforts there. And there's another 25% where the client is not much bothered about it. So you need to divert your resources and power and management skills to push on the other 25%, which is the key for clients. And take example on buildings. Most of the clients, they don't put much pressure on the entrances. They will mention cleaning the whole buildings, but when you tailor your frequencies for the lobbies and the front of house, that's where we know this, but very less client who demonstrate this within the scope of work. So we have always to price low. We've noticed in the last 5 years e-auction. E-auction is where you put all the bidders on the page, on the web access, and everyone's seeing how it's going lower and lower and lower. And it's just about matching these figures, and you're gonna win. So the gamblers inside everyone is coming out and said, let me get this, let me get that. I will make money. I'll have less margin. So it's not healthy for me. For me, e-auctions is one of the market killer for me in FM. So
do you then walk away from those type of?
Not always.
Not always. No.
Not always. We have to. because it's a major clients who's doing this.
Sure.
So we cannot just ignore that portfolios,
No.
and they are big players.
Yeah.
Well, we try to be reasonable. We try to stop there, and they are now, it's not procurement driven anymore. It start now switching back to technical.
Yeah.
So they will be one round after the e-auctions, which is now the new trend.
Yeah.
So you do the e-auctions, you get
Yeah.
the lowest prices, and then you start negotiating on the techno-commercial one,
Yeah.
which is a good step back to, a logical contracts, because
Yeah.
you don't need, a negative contracts.
No.
When you start, how are you going to convince clients to use technologies there? You add the added values in your proposals, and you start during mobilization or first 6 months to understand more the pain of the client and start to tailor a technological solutions to your clients.
Yeah.
And it takes time, and it needs to have an investment from your maybe R&Ds.
Yeah.
You cannot just load that on the contracts.
Yeah.
You try to showcase one of the solutions, and then you try to do upselling within the contract
Yeah.
for that, even to implement it in other solutions. So what we've done, I'll give you an example, a bit away from FM industry, because as IFM, maybe we discussed before this, we try to diversify our services.
Yeah.
So we do infrastructure services. One of the problems happened in last April 2024, where you get the flood or
Yes. Yeah.
the rain. So the many people on the street, they were very trying to help.
Yeah.
And they're opening the sewage manholes.
Yeah.
And all the stormwater or the rainwater is going to the manhole,
Yeah.
which is a sewage manhole,
Yeah.
and caused an overflow. So you get a clean water, relatively, which is a water going to a sewage and flooding the sewage system, which shouldn't be the case. So you get back all this sewage overflows.
Yeah.
Stormwater mixed with sewage water overflow. This is the first problem. Second problem, you just flood the treatment plants,
Yeah.
the sewage treatment plant.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's cost hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
So today, what FM can do to prevent this is IoTs.
Yeah.
So we're working on installing sensors.
Yeah.
Many of the clients who operates as private developers who have their own areas or governmental entities looking to install sensors and locks and monitor each manholes for unauthorized dumping or unauthorized opening.
Yeah.
Because even people, they're doing this as good intention, but they don't know how they cost or how harmful it is to the network.
It is very clear. I mean, the lessons learned last April, last year, are pretty hard. I mean, there have been quite a few areas that had major trouble, for sure. And I guess that the challenge for all of us is to sort of figure out that right balance between, on one hand, yes, everybody wants to pay the minimum possible for a certain service, but at the same time, we need to leave enough room to be smart and innovate going forward, because ultimately from that innovation is where the real saving is going to be, and not whether you have rate XYZ per head that you put in a contract, or the amount of people that are there, because then cleaning or maintenance is just merely a body shop, which I don't think it should be at the end of the day. When you look at sort of the future in the upcoming years, do you believe that technologies like robotics will actually start playing a big role in the FM space?
Yeah, absolutely. This is why everyone now working on it, because this is the future.
Yeah.
Today, I'll give you an example which can demonstrate that. If you have two identical units, where the manuals of the same unit saying that you have to do 1, 2, 3, 4 as a maintenance, but you've been installed on two different locations, and you've been operated different number of hours, you will have a different maintenance regime for each one of them. But today, with the preventive maintenance plan, it's based on time. Majority of our assets in the FM industry, This is not in the industry. In the industrial, it's condition based and sometimes based on hours, but in the FM industry, it's based on the frequencies.
Yeah,
that's the base of calculation of manpower, where your client's asking you to deploy certain number of technicians. If those will become a real condition based on the IoTs, when you get a cheap IoTs costing you $5, $10 to install and operate, then it's the bingo. So you will get the right resources you need, so you don't go and clean a clean filter anymore. So you just go to the units which really needs to be serviced. So that's the future, where your manpower going to be shrinked or going to be optimized to the max. The getting the right data through IoTs, because IoT is just collecting data, and then you get the AIs who are going to process this data, getting your team experiences, putting it on the brain, and giving you the feedback so you can act better, you can act faster, you can do energy savings, and you can optimize your resources. When this is going to happen? I hope in the coming 5 years.
Do you think people are going to be replaced by cleaning robots?
No, for sure, because we tried to have a robot there, but still figuring out in the last 6 months how we're going to let the robot talk to the elevator, because he needs to go to different floors. So it's a long process to have it, but we're going to reach there. But robots going to be very useful on the open spaces where you have a large, like malls, like airports. But still, when you go to the hospitality services, you still need first the hospitality touch. People needs to talk to people. So you have the human. The robot will not be able to have the human touch, which is also not going to be there. But having a cleaner replacing or doing more spaces, using the right technology or the right robots under him, that's going to be there. Reducing number of cleaners with robots is going to be there, but having full replacements, that's not in the.
So what does it
especially
mean,
in the UAE?
What does it mean for you to have a green mind? In FM or in your personal life, by the way. I mean, we're all part of that whole process of.
For me, it's a challenge, because you have always to think about solutions. And for me, when I've seen something, when someone's telling me it's not possible, I always say, no, it is for sure. There is a way. We have to. I think there is many loopholes on our industry where we can really get that green minds or the mentality to our industry. And to give you an example, recently I'm working hard on the waste management. I've seen many showstoppers which I don't understand why is there. You know, today on the recycling, on this sorting of the general waste, which is generated from the homes or houses, after they do the sorting, the recycling is happening only on 8%. So there's something. It needs some, breakthrough. And I'm start working on those big questions. Why we don't recycle more? We have a targets to I think it's landfills gonna be restricted in coming maybe 10 years in the UAE. So we have to recycle everything. So for me it's a daily challenge. Whenever I've seen a challenge where it's stopping us to go green, I need to find why, and I need to ask everyone, and I need to put my questions, and I need really answers. So for me, it's like, distracting my my life, to have a green mind. Yeah.
Tarek, thank you very much for this conversation. It was a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much.